natin ang mga kaganapan sa Philippine Information Agency kasama si PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar.
Todo na ba yan?
Salamatan din po natin ang kapisanan ng broadcaster ng Pilipinas sa kanila pong pagsuporta dito sa Laging Handa at siyempre dito po sa ating isinasagawang Free Zone Forum. Maraming salamat din po sa ating mga partner agency sa patuloy nilang pagbibigay suporta sa ating programa. Kasama na rin po dito ang Filipino Sign Language Access Team for COVID-19. Mabuhay po kayo. At antabayanan niyo po ang isasagawang ikalawang Free Zone Forum kung saan ay tatalakayin po ang mga mahalagang katanungan ng taong bayan na ibibigay po ng ating mga miyembro ng gabinete sa pangunguna na nga po ni DSWD Secretary Rolando Bautista. Kasama pa rin po ang DILG Secretary Eduardo Año at iba pa pong mga Cabinet Secretary bago po ang isasagawang SONA ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa huling bahagi po ng Hulyo. Titingnan po natin o bibigyan daan na po natin ang ating mga cabinet secretaries sa bahagi po ng BIA o Philippine Information Agency sa pangunguna pa rin po ni Communications Secretary Martin Andanar. Ito po ang ikalawang Free Zone Forum ng nakaraang linggo po ay nakasama po natin ang mga sinasabing economic managers para pa rin po sa status ng ating bansa sa harap pa rin po ng nararanasang pandemya. Babalikan po natin maya-maya ang kaganapan sa Philippine Information Agency. Magbabalik po ang public briefing #Laging Handa PH.
Kaya natin to, kaya natin to.
Patuloy pa rin ang laban natin sa COVID-19. And together, we can beat the solusyon.
B. Bawal walang mask.
I. Isanitize sa mga kamay. Iwas hawak sa mga bagay.
D. Dumistansya ng 1 metro.
A. Alamin ang totoong impormasyon tungkol sa COVID-19.
Protektahan natin ang sarili at mga mahal sa buhay.
BIDA, be the solusyon sa COVID-19.
To our brave soldiers, I personally came here to thank you on behalf of the Filipino people for your undying service, especially during these trying times. As your Commander-in-Chief and as President of the Republic of the Philippines, I assure you that I will see to it that the truth will come out, be it in favor of the police or the military. Ang hiningi ko lang ang totoong nangyari. Rest assured that justice will be done to the family at sa mga tao dito sa ang mga trupa dito sa pulong.
upang mabigyan ng pangmatagalang tulong ang ating mga kababayang nais magbalik probinsya at makapagsimulang muli. Pinagtibay ni Pangulong Duterte ang Executive Order No. 114 o ang Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program.
Go home to the province, they have the means of going back there. And there is a promise. What is really very important is we give them hope.
Na-issue rin po kahapon ng ating Presidente Executive Order No. 114. Ito po ay yung sa Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program as a pillar of balanced regional development.
Noong ika-20 ng Mayo, ang programa ay matagumpay na nakapagpauwi na ng mahigit 100 residente pabalik ng Leyte na inaasahang darami pa. At dahil nais agarang tugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng ating mga stranded na kababayan, ipinagpaliban muna ang rollout ng Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa Program upang ihandog ng ating pamahalaan ang hatid tulong.
I decided as a matter of strategy na isuspend muna ang ating rollouts for the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa to give way. Unahin natin kasi this was a very clear instruction from the President. Unahin, pauwiin na ang ating mga kababayan na stranded dito sa Maynila. And pagdating ng panahon na tapos na itong mga problema ng stranded, the Balik Probinsya will now take the second phase already in the succeeding rollouts and simultaneous rollouts to all of the provinces of their choice.
Pilipino to kababayan natin. Tanggapin ninyo and provide for sequestration houses if you want. Yung doon sila i-quarantine. Pero hati-hati tayo sa problema. Total, hindi naman kami nagkulang. Whatever you need, we provide. Kawawa naman. Tulungan ninyo yung mga Pilipino. To our brave soldiers, I personally came here to thank you on behalf of the Filipino people for your undying service, especially during these trying times. As your Commander-in-Chief and as President of the Republic of the Philippines, I assure you that I will see to it that the truth will come out, be it in favor of the police or the military. Ang hingi ko lang ang totoong nangyari. Rest assured that justice will be done to the family at sa mga tao dito sa ang mga trupa dito sa pulong.
Ngayong panahon ng krisis, maging mas maingat at mapagmatsyag. Huwag maging biktima ng mga online scam. Huwag magbibigay ng personal na impormasyon at bank account number o password kahit kanino. Kung kayo'y makakatanggap ng tawag o email na humihingi ng mga ito, i-validate agad sa opisyal na hotline ng inyong bangko. Iwasang magbukas ng mga kaduda-dudang link, website o mobile app. Maaring magdala ito ng malware sa inyong mga computer at maging sanhi ng pagkakadnakaw ng inyong personal na impormasyon. Maging mapanuri sa mga peking email na nagbibigay di umano ng updates ukol sa COVID-19. Hanggat maaari, sa mga opisyal na website ng gobyerno at news sources lamang mag-check ng mga balita. Kung nais namang mag-abot ng donasyon online, ugaliing i-research muna ng maigi ang mga institusyon na nais ninyong pagbigyan ng tulong. Kung sakaling kayo'y makabasa o makatanggap ng mga kahinahinalang mensahe, ipagbigay alam agad sa National Bureau of Investigation. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin ito.
Disaster Watch. Kung may bagyo, ugaliing tandaan ang itinataas na rainfall warnings ng Pag-asa sa inyong lugar. Ang yellow warning ay nagbabadya ng malakas na pag-ulan at posibleng pagbaha sa inyong lugar. Ang orange warning ay senyales ng malakas na pag-ulan at pagtaas ng tubig sa inyong lugar. Dapat maging alerto at handa sa posibilidad ng paglikas. Ang red warning ay nangangahulugan ng dagsa at malakas na pagbuhos ng ulan at matinding pagbaha sa inyong lugar. Kinakailangan ng iba yung pag-iingat at paghahanda sa inyong paglikas patungo sa ligtas na lugar. Huwag malito sa panahon ng kalamidad. Dapat laging listo. Upang mabigyan ng pangmatagalang tulong ang ating mga kababayang nais magbalik probinsya at makapagsimulang muli, pinagtibay ni Pangulong Duterte ang Executive Order No. 114 o ang Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program.
Go home to the province, they have the means of going back there. And there is a promise. What is really very important is we give them hope.
Na-issue rin po kahapon ng ating Presidente ang Executive Order No. 114. Ito po ay yung sa Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program as a pillar of balanced regional development.
Noong ika-20 ng Mayo, ang programa ay matagumpay na nakapagpauwi na ng mahigit 100 residente pabalik ng Leyte na inaasahang darami pa. At dahil nais agarang tugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng ating mga stranded na kababayan, ipinagpaliban muna ang rollout ng Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa Program upang ihandog ng ating pamahalaan ang hatid tulong.
I decided as a matter of strategy na isuspend muna ang ating rollouts for the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa to give way. Unahin natin kasi this was a very clear instruction from the President. Unahin, pauwiin na ang ating mga kababayan na stranded dito sa Maynila. And then, pagdating ng panahon, natapos na itong mga problema ng stranded, the Balik Probinsya will now take the second phase already in the succeeding rollouts and simultaneous rollouts to all of the provinces of their choice.
Pilipino to kababayan natin. Tanggapin ninyo and provide for sequestration houses if you want. Yung doon sila i-quarantine. Pero hati-hati tayo sa problema. Total, hindi naman kami nagkulang. Whatever you need, we provide. Kawawa naman. Tulungan ninyo yung mga Pilipino.
Since the President signed Executive Order No. 2 Series of 2016 back in July 23, 2016, madami ng mga naging development sa ating National FOI program. We have almost all of the 1,000 national government agencies, GOCCs, SUCs, and local water districts with their FOI manuals. And half of that are on our FOI portal, foi.gov.ph. Meaning to say, ang mga kababayan natin can ask information from different government offices online or on paper-based.
I tried to access the portal and then I tried to test it, and then I was hoping that just an ordinary program of the government, a new program, so maybe they're adjusting with the system. But after 3 days, I received an email from the FOI. My query was answered after 3 days, so I was very happy and satisfied with the program.
The top most requested information on the FOI program is legal documents. That makes up 42% of FOI requests. 39% of FOI requests are from datasets and statistics. 6% are personal information. So people are asking for copies of official SALN as well as accomplishment reports and travel reports.
From the past, kailangan kapag magre-request ka ng information, you have to personally visit the offices. Kahit galing ka sa malayo, even if you're from province, yun yung na-address ng FOI. Kahit nasan ka, as long as you have reliable internet connection, you can access information or you can request. Aside from that, it is somehow proactive. Kung yung request mo is na-request na ng ibang tao, makikita mo na siya doon. So you don't have to make another request.
We are able to harmonize the Executive Order number 2 on the Freedom of Information with the Data Privacy Law. Napaka-importante lang ang poprotektahin ng ating mga opisyal at mga kasama sa gobyerno ay ang mga sensitive personal information.
Siguro ang pinagkaiba lang dun sa administrasyon ngayon na nakapagpasa nung FOIEO is talagang hindi sila tumigil. Hindi sila tumigil hanggat hindi nila na ipapasa kasi alam nila na kailangan yun ng tao na hindi lang para i-practice ng tao kung paano nila gagamitin yung right to information, but because the administration knows that this FOIEO will empower the people to practice their right to know kasi yun yung magiging gateway din para mas makapag-participate sila sa decision making.
It's a very successful program for me since I'm one of the first beneficiaries of the program, so I could attest of its efficacy and its efficiency.
Ang FOI ay hindi lang para sa transparency. Hindi lang siya tool para labanan ang korupsyon and to maintain accountability in government. FOI is for knowledge, it's for information, it's for transparency, and it's for empowerment.
Ang mga hinaing na inyong itinawag sa opisyal na linya ng pamahalaan, patuloy naming tutugunan at bibigyang aksyon. Ang inyong mga tanong, sabay-sabay nating hahanapan ng kasagutan kasama ang iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno. Dahil sa gitna ng laban na kinakaharap ng buong bayan, narito pa rin ang programang handang makinig sa boses ng bawat mamamayang Pilipino. Digo 8888 Hotline. Kasama si Usec Chris Roman, Trixie Jaafar at Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo. Dito lang sa PTV. Handog namin sa inyo para sa bayan.
To our brave soldiers, I personally came here to thank you on behalf of the Filipino people for your undying service, especially during these trying times. As your Commander-in-Chief and as President of the Republic of the Philippines, I assure you that I will see to it that the truth will come out, be it in favor of the police or the military. Ang hiningi ko lang ang totoong nangyari. Rest assured that justice will be done to the family at sa mga tao dito sa ang mga trupa dito sa pulong.
Alamin ang guidelines na itinakda ng DepEd at CHED para sa academic year 2020-2021. Ang opisyal na pagsisimula ng klase sa mga pampublikong paaralan ay sa August 24, 2020 at matatapos naman sa April 30, 2021. Sa kabuuan, mayroong 203 days para sa school year na ito. Mayroong iba't ibang learning options namang inilatag para sa mga mag-aaral. Ang mga pribadong eskwelahan ay maaaring magsimula ng klase sa alinmang araw mula sa unang Lunes ng Hunyo hanggang sa huling araw ng Agosto. Tandaan, bawal ang pagsasagawa ng face-to-face classes hanggat wala pang bakuna para sa COVID-19. Para naman sa mga higher education institutions, ang pagsisimula ng klase ay nakadepende sa education delivery mode ng institusyon. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, bisitahin ang official website ng DepEd at SHED. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Upang mabigyan ng pangmatagalang tulong ang ating mga kababayang nais magbalik probinsya at makapagsimulang muli, pinagtibay ni Pangulong Duterte ang Executive Order No. 114 o ang Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program.
Go home to the province, they have the means of going back there. And there is a promise. What is really very important is we give them hope.
Na-issue rin po kahapon ng ating Presidente ang Executive Order No. 114. Ito po ay yung sa Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program as a pillar of balanced regional development.
Noong ika-20 ng Mayo, ang programa ay matagumpay na nakapagpauwi na ng mahigit 100 residente pabalik ng Leyte na inaasahang darami pa. At dahil nais agarang tugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng ating mga stranded na kababayan, ipinagpaliban muna ang rollout ng Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa Program upang ihandog ng ating pamahalaan ang hatid tulong.
I decided as a matter of strategy na isuspend muna ang ating rollouts for the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa to give way. Unahin natin kasi this was a very clear instruction from the President. Unahin, pauwiin na ang ating mga kababayan na stranded dito sa Maynila. And then, pagdating ng panahon na tapos na itong mga problema ng stranded, the Balik Probinsya will now take the second phase already in the succeeding rollouts and simultaneous rollouts to all of the provinces of their choice.
Pilipino to kababayan natin. Tanggapin ninyo and provide for sequestration houses if you want. Yung doon sila i-quarantine. Pero hati-hati tayo sa problema. Total, hindi naman kami nagkulang. Whatever you need, we provide. Kawawa naman. Tulungan ninyo yung mga Pilipino.
Kaya natin to. Kaya natin to.
Nagbabalik po ang public briefing #LagingHandaPH. Silipin na po natin ang mga kaganapan sa Philippine Information Agency kasama si PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar.
Patuloy pa rin ang laban natin sa COVID-19. And together, we can beat the solusyon.
B. Bawal walang mask.
I. Isanitize sa mga kamay. Iwas hawak sa mga bagay.
C. Dumistansya ng 1 metro.
A. Alamin ang totoong impormasyon tungkol sa COVID-19.
Protektahan natin ang sarili at mga mahal sa buhay.
Be the solusyon sa COVID-19.
Magandang umaga, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. May buntag. Welcome to Tatak ng Pagbabago 2020, the Pre-SONA Forum. Bago ang ikalimang State of the Nation Address ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte, kami sa Presidential Communications Operations Office ay narito upang ihatid sa inyo ang mga cabinet clusters upang ipaliwanag ang mga polisiya at programa ng gobyerno na tutugon sa mga pagsubok na dulot ng pandemya. Ngayong araw, tunghayan natin ang mga kwento ng pagkalinga
at iba't ibang pamamaraan na sa pagkakataon na ito ay ipinamalas sa atin ng ating mga kababayan upang makamtan ang ipinangakong tunay na pagbabago. Sa pagpapatuloy ng ating Pre-SONA Forum, ating maririnig ang Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster, pati na ang Participatory Governance Cluster. Ano ang mga nakakasang programa para masiguro na ang pangailangan ng mga Pilipino ay natutugunan at ang boses ng bawat mamayan ay napapakinggan? Ating alamin dito sa Tatak ng Pagbabago 2020, the Pre-SONA Forum.
Sa pagbubukas ng taong 2020, kinaharap ng Pilipinas ang mga napakabigat na suliranin. Pinakamatindi na rito ang pandemya ng COVID-19 na nagbigay banta sa kalusugan at kaligtasan ng sambayanang Pilipino. Sa harap ng pagsubok, tayo'y nagkapit-bisig at nagbayanihan para sa ikagagaling ng lahat. Sa pangunguna ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte, puspusan ang paghahatid ng tulong at serbisyo ng pamahalaan sa mga mamamayan sa gitna ng dinaranas na public health emergency. Ang maagap at masigasig na pagtugon sa mga pangangailangan ng taong bayan ay patunay ng pagkalinga at pagmamalasakit ng Administrasyong Duterte sa bawat Pilipino, sa loob at labas man ng bansa. Bilang paghahanda para sa State of the Nation Address ni Pangulong Duterte, muling inihahandog ng Cabinet Clusters ang Tatak ng Pagbabago 2020, the Pre-SONA Forums. Sa pagkakataong ito, haharap sa sambayanan ng 6 na Cabinet Clusters upang ihatid ang mga tamang impormasyon at iulat ang katotohanan tungkol sa kalagayan ng ating bansa. Bitbit ang temang patunay ng pagkalinga. Layunin nitong sugpuin ang paglaganap ng fake news at disinformation. Sa unang bahagi ng Pre-SONA Forums, nariyan ang Economic Development Cluster na nagsusulong sa pambansang hangarin na muling umangat, bumangon at lumago ang ekonomiya sa pagkakalugmok sa sangasangang krisis na idinulot ng COVID-19. Kasama rin ang Infrastructure Cluster na pinapausbong ang infrastruktura sa bawat sulok ng bansa upang mapaunlad at mapabuti ang kalagayan ng mamamayang Pilipino. Sa ikalawang bahagi, nariyan ang Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster na nangangalaga sa interes ng mga maralitang Pilipino at umaagapay sa mga pangangailangan ng taong bayan sa usapin ng kalusugan, kabuhayan, edukasyon at iba pang mga serbisyo. Kasama rin ang Participatory Governance Cluster na itinataguyod ng isang transparent, responsive at people-centric na gobyerno para sa mas mabilis at epektibong paghatid ng serbisyo sa mga tao. Sa pangatlo at pinakahuling bahagi naman, nariyan ang Security, Justice and Peace Cluster na prioridad ang pagpapanatili ng kaayusan, seguridad at kapayapaan sa mga komunidad. Kasama rin ang Climate Change Adaptation, Mitigation and Disaster Risk Reduction Cluster na pinapahusay ang kahandaan at katatagan ng mga komunidad laban sa mga kalamidad at sakuna habang pinapaigting ang pagpapatupad ng mga pulisiyang poprotekta sa kalikasan. Sa 4 na taong pagsisikap ng Administrasyong Duterte na maisulong ang tunay na pagbabago, marami na tayong nakamit na mga tagumpay. Sinusubok man ng krisis ang ating bansa sa panahong ito, itutuloy natin ang maganda na nating nasimulan. Patuloy ang paghahatid ng mapagkalingang serbisyo sa mga mamamayang Pilipino. Sama-sama, iaangat natin ang bansa. Sabay-sabay, haharapin natin ang mas magandang umaga.
Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rolando Joselito Bautista, Interior and Local Government Secretary Eduardo Año, Budget and Management Secretary Wendell Abisado, Presidential Communications Secretary Martin Andanar, mga kabalikat ko sa gabinete, members of the diplomatic corps, partners in the private sector and civil society organizations, friends from the media, fellow public servants, mga kababayan, maayong buntag. It is an honor to welcome all of you to the Pre-SONA Forum of the Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster and the Participatory Governance Cluster, the second iteration of our three-part Pre-SONA Forums, all leading to the President's 5th State of the Nation address on July 27. This comes off the heels of the first Pre-SONA Forum, which we held last week and provided the public with the progress made by the government's economic and infrastructure clusters. These pre-SONA activities have three major objectives. One, to provide the data, figures, and the details that will contribute to a better understanding of the messages the President will deliver in his SONA on the 27th. Two, to provide an extensive report on what the President has accomplished through the departments and agencies of government, their regular programs, projects, and services aligned with the goals of this administration, as well as our response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Three, to provide you, our people, with the opportunity to raise your concerns directly to the President through his counterparts in the Cabinet. Taon-taon po may SONA. Ngunit taon-taon, nababatid din natin na kulang ang oras ng SONA para ilatag ang mga programa at gawain ng pamahalaan. These pre-SONAs allow us the opportunity to further articulate, comprehensively elaborate, and extensively explain what government has done, what it is doing, and what it is going to do to uplift the welfare of our people and address the challenges faced by our nation. In the first forum, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III succinctly summed up these challenges when he said that we live in difficult and uncertain times, and that the COVID-19 health emergency is perhaps the toughest economic crisis most of our people will live through. This pandemic, he said, candidly, is something that no one fully anticipated and was truly prepared to deal with. Tunay ngang nasa gitna tayo ng isang kalagayang mahirap at walang katiyakan, at dala na ng pandemyang ito, tinamaan ng husto ang ating ekonomiya. Wala ni isang bansa sa mundo ang nakapaghanda ng husto sa pananalasa nito. This is a reality we are reminded of every day. Araw-araw, nilalabas ng ating Department of Health ang mga numero. These numbers remind us that we are in the midst of a battle that is claiming lives and taking its toll on the health of our people. They emphasize that we face an invisible enemy that has far-reaching consequences on the lives and livelihoods of every Filipino man, woman, and child. Araw-araw, ang mga ito ay nagsisilbing paalala na tayo ay nasa gitna ng isang digmaang nagbabanta sa kalusugan at kumikitil ng buhay. Dinidiin ito na ang kinakaharap natin ay isang kalabang hindi man nakikita, ay sobra-sobra ang epekto sa buhay at kabuhayan nating lahat. These daily DOH updates, however, do not fully capture the extent of the damage dealt by the COVID-19 virus. As our finance chief stressed last week, our unemployment rate in April of this year spiked to 17.7%. The subsequent shutdown of economic activities took its toll on local businesses, and the slowdown in economic activity and extensions of tax filing and payment deadlines combined to bring down our revenues. For the first half of 2020, estimated tax collections from the Bureau of Internal Revenue and the Bureau of Customs dipped to 1.2 trillion pesos, 16% lower than last year during the same period. Ang mga numerong ito bukod po sa mga daily update ng DOH ay nakakabahala. Ngunit tulad ng nabanggit ko nung nakaraang linggo, the President and your government have long laid the groundwork for the economic recovery of our country. Ika nga ni Secretary Dominguez, in previous years, emergency spending and urgent borrowing might have been very difficult, but the economic performance of the Duterte administration prior to the pandemic, together with its approach to fiscal and economic management, made the country one of the strongest, most resilient, and credit-worthy economies in the region. Opo, nahirapan tayo, katulad ng mga bansa sa buong mundo. Ngunit dahil sa reformang pinansyal at maayos na pangangasiwa sa ating ekonomiya, bago pa man tumama ang pandemya, tayo ay isa sa pinakamalakas, pinakamatibay, at pinagkakatiwalaang ekonomiya dito sa riyon. Mga kababayan, hirap man tayo ngayon. May mga senyalis din na lumalaban at bumabangon ang ekonomiya. Tumaas po ng 4.4% ang mga koleksyon ng customs, evidence of increasing economic activity. Prior to the COVID-19 outbreak, the country received a BBB+ credit rating, the highest in our country's history. And even amidst the pandemic, international credit rating agencies have affirmed our sovereign ratings and have kept them at investment grade levels. Noong nakaraang buwan, tinaas pa nga ng Japan Credit Rating Agency ang credit rating natin from BBB+ to A-. Secretary Dominguez said it best. This is a vote of confidence in a sea of credit rating downgrades and negative outlook revisions worldwide. If the economic and infrastructure clusters gave us assurances of our economy's ability to rise above the challenges ahead, today, the human development and poverty reduction and participatory governance clusters will provide us information with regard to the steps government will be taking to provide the country's most vulnerable sectors with the social protection necessary to survive and thrive in the months ahead. In particular, the HDPRC, through its chairperson, DSWD Secretary Rolando Joselito Bautista, will be reporting what the cluster has achieved in terms of human capital development, poverty reduction, and enhancing the quality of life of every Filipino. Aside from the regular projects, activities, and programs that make up the HDPRC roadmap, Secretary Bautista will also present the cluster's accomplishments under the COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program, the Social Amelioration Program, and similar programs aimed at mitigating the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Included among these developments are the Enhanced Partnership Against Hunger and Poverty Convergence Program, which is now helping a number of farmers and farmers' organizations amid the pandemic, as well as the Interagency Task Force on Zero Hunger, which I chair, and is now in the process of harmonizing government programs meant to ensure food security and reduce hunger so that we can say #goodbye gutom. Kasama sa mga bagong programa ng gobyerno ang Enhanced Partnership Against Hunger and Poverty or EPAP na siyang tumutulay sa mga magsasaka at mangingisda sa merkado na tumutugon sa hamon ng pandemya kasama ang Interagency Task Force on Zero Hunger ng ating pinangangasiwaan. Sa huling bahagi ng taong ito, lahat ng programa ng pamahalaan tungkol sa katiyakan sa pagkain at pagsupil sa kagutuman ay atin ng pag-ugnayin at pag-ibayuhin. The Participatory Governance Cluster, on the other hand, through its co-chairpersons, DILG Secretary Eduardo Anyo and DBM Secretary Wendell Abisado, will share the accomplishments and milestones of the cluster's member agencies towards the enhancement of citizen participation in government processes by strategies that transform the public from mere observers to genuine partners of government. It should be stressed that this cluster has also been instrumental in our fight against the pandemic through first, the development of the National Action Plan against COVID-19, and second, in its efforts to ensure that funds given to agencies and LGUs for COVID-19 response are properly utilized and its reporting mechanisms for these are in place. Didiinan ko lang. ang participatory and governance cluster sa ilalim ng pangangasiwa ni Secretary Anyo at Secretary Abisado ang siyang naging susi ng agresibo nating pagsuong sa laban ng bansa kontra COVID-19. Following the presentation of these clusters, an open forum will follow to afford you the opportunities to direct your questions at the concerned department agencies, secretaries, and heads of agencies. Before I wrap up, allow me to extend my sincerest gratitude and congratulations to our partners who made today's Pre-SONA Forum possible: the Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster, the Participatory Governance Cluster, the Presidential Communications Operations Office, the Office of the Executive Secretary, and my fellow workers in the Office of the President. Mga kababayan, kapag sama-sama, kaya nating umahon. Sa tulong ng Diyos at sa magkaisang aksyon, tayo ay babangon. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles. Ang ating pre-SONA ngayong araw, katulad ng ating pre-SONA noong nakarang linggo. Ang iba sa ating nakagawian dahil sa COVID-19. Ngunit hindi ito hadlang sa pagtugon namin sa aming tungkulin na magbigay ng tama at napapanahong impormasyon sa bawat Pilipino. Ito po ang pangalawa sa ating 3-part forum at ito ay pangungunahan ng Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster at ng Participatory Governance Cluster. Sa mga nakalipas na buwan, tunay na sinubok po ang cluster na ito. Paano nga ba natin tinutugunan ang hamon na dulot ng COVID-19 pandemic at sa paanong paraan natin ito mapagtatagumpayan ng sama-sama? Kasama po natin ngayong araw si DSWD Secretary at Head ng Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster, Secretary Rolando Bautista.
Chairperson, Secretary of the Interior and Local Government Eduardo Anyo, Secretary of Budget and Management Wendell Avisado, my fellow Cabinet Secretaries, members of the HDPRC, our friends in media, our dear beneficiaries, to our kababayans, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. 4 years into gearing towards bringing down the poverty rate to 14%, the country faced unforeseen challenges caused by the eruption of the Taal volcano and the global outbreak of the COVID-19. The health crisis alone has created deep impacts on the economy, as well as our fellow Filipinos' livelihood and well-being, with prospects of an estimated 10 million Filipinos losing their jobs, the repatriation of nearly 70,000 displaced overseas Filipino workers, and the increasing number of Filipinos experiencing involuntary hunger, among others. Gayunpaman, patuloy na nagtutulungan ang lahat ng ahensya sa ilalim ng Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster o HDPRC sa pagbangon ng ating kapwa Pilipino mula sa crisis na ating ngayoy hinaharap. For the HDPRC, our utmost priorities continued to be the overall improvement of the quality of life of the Filipino people. By exploring innovations to beat the pandemic and by strengthening the tried and tested pro-people programs, This is reinforced by our 4 core strategies on education, public health, social protection, and building capacities and opportunities for the poor and marginalized. Napakalaki ang naging epekto ng pandemya sa edukasyon ng ating kabataan. Kaya walang humpay ang HDPRC na masiguro na sa ilalim ng new normal, ang ating mga kabataan ay patuloy na may access sa alternatibong pamamaraan ng pag-aaral o ang blended at distance learning. In response to COVID-19's impacts on students, the Commission on Higher Education or SHED and the Unified Student Financial Assistance System for Tertiary Education or UNIFAS continued to make the tertiary education subsidy stipends available to its grantees to cope with the effects of the pandemic. The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority's expanded online program also serve as an alternate mode of technical vocational education and training learning platform during the community quarantine. For the establishment of effective and accessible alternative educational systems, the Department of Education or DepEd embarked on the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, providing learning opportunities to our students through printed or digital modules, online learning resources, and television or radio-based instruction without requiring them to come to school. Over 700,000 out-of-school youth in 2019 were enrolled under DepEd's Alternative Learning System or ALS, half of which are from the 32 priority provinces of HDPRC. About 1.33 million students enrolled in state and local universities and colleges are now benefiting from the free higher education and tertiary education subsidy programs. To increase Filipinos' chances of securing gainful jobs or engaging in sustainable livelihoods. To increase Filipinos' chances of securing gainful jobs or engaging in sustainable livelihoods, TESTA has made great efforts in reaching more beneficiaries and expanding its scholarship programs from 2.3 million enrollees in 2018 to 2.4 million in 2019. Here are a few of our beneficiaries. Sa panahon ng pandemya, ang pinakamahalagang tungkulin ng HDPRC ay magarantya na nasa maayos na kalusugan ng ating mamayan at sila ay may akses sa abot-kayang serbisyong pangkalusugan. In line with the country's continuing battle against the pandemic, the Department of Health has undertaken concerted efforts to beat the disease with improved testing capacities from 1,200 actual tests per day in March to 21,000 per day now in 85 DOH licensed testing laboratories nationwide. Nearly 18,000 dedicated beds for COVID-19, around 18,000 health personnel deployed to health facilities needing augmentation, and continuous distribution of personal protective equipment or PPEs and other essential medical equipment for our frontliners. For the protection of public health, specifically in boosting testing and treatment capacities, we will focus on the continuous improvement of our healthcare facilities by increasing the number of fully equipped isolation rooms, critical care beds in hospitals, and other crucial medical equipment. The Universal Healthcare Program shall be our platform in strengthening our healthcare system resilience. We are also working on establishing the Philippine Center for Disease Control Designing Systems to anticipate, and prepare emerging and re-emerging public health threats, and improving vaccine delivery. In addition to the pandemic-related health measures, the HDPRC advanced its efforts in expanding universal health care to all Filipinos and in addressing hunger and malnutrition among children, teenage pregnancy, as well as the prevalence of non-communicable and preventable diseases. The National Nutrition Council reported that prevalence of wasting and stunting among children under 5 have significantly reduced in 2019. This success can be largely attributed to the Department of Social Welfare and Development's implementation of the Supplementary Feeding Program, which served 1.8 million children ages 2 to 5 in 2019. Also, the DepEd school-based feeding program served 1.7 million learners from kindergarten to grade 6, ages 5 to 12, for the school year 2019 to 2020. Under the Adolescent Health and Development, or AHD program of the Commission on Population and Development, or POPCOM, over 170,000 empowered adolescents in 2019 were equipped with knowledge and life skills to prevent early pregnancy, early marriage, and repeat pregnancy. Under the expanded program for immunization, the DOH reported that 69% or 1.5 million of children have been fully immunized in 2019. Kasama sa layunin ng HDPRC ay masiguro ang katatagan ng ating mga kababayan upang maiwasan na sila ay malugmok pa sa kahirapan sa panahon ng krisis. With the declaration of the community quarantine last March, the government formulated the Social Amelioration Program, or SAP, in order to provide emergency subsidy and other forms of assistance to the most affected families during the pandemic. More than 19 million beneficiaries from the formal and informal sectors received emergency subsidies with a total amount of over 106 billion pesos from the DSWD's Emergency Subsidy Program in partnership with the Department of the Interior and Local Government and local government units. The Department of Labor and Employment COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program, or CAMP, CAB, Abot Kamay ang Pagtulong, or CAMP AKAP, and Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa ating disadvantaged displaced workers, or TUPAD, Barangay Ko, Bahay Ko Project, and the Department of Agriculture's Financial Subsidy to Rice Farmers, or FSRF. Payouts for the second tranche of the SAP are ongoing. The Department of Trade and Industry, for its part, carried out loan moratoriums, price monitoring, as well as processed loan applications for affected micro, medium, and small enterprises to support them in their recovery. Around 69,000 returning OFWs and 7,000 locally stranded individuals, or LSIs, were provided with the necessary assistance from the HDPRC member agencies. For the provision of social safety nets, displaced local and overseas workers will be prioritized in the coming months. We will focus on getting them home and providing them with employment opportunities, livelihood support, along with online skills, upgrading and retooling programs. For the efficient and transparent delivery of social services, the DSWD is expected to strengthen and fast-track the implementation of social amelioration and continue to deliver its flagship programs in empowering individuals and communities to get back on their feet. Lastly, to tie all of this together, we will ensure the strengthening and implementation of risk-informed, evidence-based, and shock-responsive social protection systems to reduce the vulnerabilities of at-risk populations and improve their overall resilience. Even with the focused responses to the COVID-19 pandemic, The SDPRC also continued to implement its programs aimed at increasing human capital development and reducing poverty.
Kini ang Sibyaanan sa Radio